Hi, welcome to another episode of Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Paul Zalzo.
And I'm Dr. Brad Weenie.
I'm Dr. Lynn Hierlihy.
Dr. Hierlihy, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Hierlihy is a PhD pediatrician who works in a clinic that assesses and treats ADHD. Thank you for joining us. And today, what are you going to be talking about?
Myths.
Myths.
Yes.
Myths about ADHD.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I think we're going to cover 5 of them today, even though there's a lot more.
Sure.
Yeah.
And during ADHD Awareness Month, because it's really important so that people can recognize, hey, maybe what I thought ADHD was, it isn't. And maybe I have it, or maybe someone I know has some that's similar to this, to get people help.
So,
okay, number 1.
First myth.
Where do you,
I think that it's not real. That is not a real thing.
people say that. I hear that all the time, especially, well, there's been a lot of, is it a behavior problem? Is it bad parenting? Is it's food related, too much sugar? There's been just so many things over the years, but it is a real neurodevelopmental disorder. It is how their brains are wired. It is not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of interest. Their brains are just motivated by different things than a neurotypical brain. They're not motivated by necessarily reward or importance. It has to be new and exciting, or something they like, or just like really urgent.
Okay, so it's real. It is a real thing.
Yeah.
The second myth is if someone who has ADHD, especially if a child has it, some people might say, oh, they're just lazy.
Yeah.
Is that a myth you hear?
Oh gosh, the kids hear that, and adults hear that all the time. If their brain is not engaged, it looks like they're lazy. But it's like the same ends of a magnet. It's just not going to connect.
Yeah.
Like if it's boring, if it's not interesting to them, the brain is it's like trying to do your taxes, right? It's just not going to happen.
I'm going to use that one when I'm lying on the couch eating a bag of chips next time someone calls me lazy.
No, you're
Okay.
not. So how about the one that people think that their kids are not going to be successful? So that once they get this label, they're going to be held back, they're going to be labeled, and they don't have a chance of having all the benefits of real life.
You know what I love telling people is like some of the most, there are some very famous and highly successful people with ADHD, and you can look those up on the internet and stuff, but really a lot of these successful people will say it's because of their ADHD that they are so successful, because they later, because engagement can be also interest-based. So if you end up going into the line of work that you're passionate about,
Then you just give her.
Yeah, and some of these people, like, they can really get into the zone, when they can almost hyper focus. So it's that's sort of the basis of the non-medication sort of strategies and support is how do we get people into the zone when it's not as interesting? Because you do need to do your taxes, but you can do amazing things. I mean, if you could reframe some of those negatives, like, oh, they're daydreamers. Well, they're imaginative, they're creative, they think outside the box. Like, they're.
I love it. Okay, so that's a good myth that if your child is or you are diagnosed with ADHD, that it's gonna mean that you're not gonna amount to anything great in life. That's a myth, and we're here to bust that one.
Yeah.
Another myth is that it only happens in boys. Boys are much more common than girls. You can't get ADHD if you're a girl. You can only get it if you're a boy.
Yeah, and so that was thought for a long time, and a lot of the research was only done in boys because boys tend to present with a hyperactivity, impulsivity type of symptoms, so they get seen because you see them in the classroom.
They're breaking stuff.
Yeah, and they're in the fracture clinic, and a lot of those symptoms settle down in the teen years. They go more inward, and they're more like they're restless, and it's that inner feeling like they're run by a motor. The inattentive symptoms sort of start coming out in the teen years, and girls tend to have the inattentive presentation, so you don't see that, and they're under-recognized, and they were underdiagnosed for a very long time.
ADHD is very modern. Gender doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Another myth is that the medications are addictive or dangerous.
Oh, gosh. I hear that a lot, and I think that's what really can hold a lot of people back, because the medications are very effective, but people are scared. I try to liken it to glasses. I need glasses to help me see the letters on the page. It's not teaching me to read, or it's not teaching. It's not doing the work for me, but I need that support. And I look at medications in that way, that it helps your brain focus. It's leveling the playing field instead of you might be on that treadmill that's really on an incline. So they're working hard, they're getting stuff done, but oh my gosh, it's exhausting. It's cognitively exhausting. So it levels the playing field for kids. And no, they're not addictive as much. Well, am I addicted to my classes? Well, yeah,
Sure.
I'm very
Because
dependent on them.
it helps you function.
It helps me function. But the flip side is not treating ADHD. You do increase your risk of addiction because a lot of these kids
I see.
Self-medicate.
self-medicate, engage in risky
Don't do that.
behaviors, and try different things, especially
Right.
in your teen years. So you actually increase the risk of substance abuse if you don't treat ADHD.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other myths? We covered the most common myths.
I think just the last one I'd like to mention for the parents watching is that it's not related to bad parenting. You didn't do something that like wrecked your kid and made them have ADHD. It's not a parenting thing. The best thing you do as a parent is recognize that there's an issue and talk to someone to get some help.
And support.
Yeah.
Yeah. I coached a soccer team years ago with a child he's a really good soccer player, but had like unmanaged, uncontrolled ADHD. And so we'd say, Joey, you're on. He'd like run on the field, run right off, and keep going. Billy loved it because I'm like, Billy, it's your lucky day off the bench. You're on, but really we wanted Joey to play. But
It's tricky.
And it is good to have the inactivities. Oh my gosh, exercise. That is one of my passions, to talk about nutrition, sleep, and exercise. But exercise.
welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Talk about that. That comes up in every episode.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's some myths.
There's the myths of ADHD. So if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and share it with someone that you think might be beneficial from these symptoms.
Don't be a myth proponent. Be a myth buster now. And you are in charge of your own health.
We'll see you next time. And thanks to Dr. Hierlihy for joining us.
Thank you so much. We really learned a lot from you today.